Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Man, Val, the voice. How are you doing tonight?
I am blessed and highly favored. Just grateful that I get a chance to chill. I have been in class all day, so my eyes are a little tired. But I was like, no, we got to do this show, and I just had me a good laugh watching something. So I was like, okay, it's time to come on and do our thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, you can't miss what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know, and I'm excited. I'm grateful that we had each other's back last night on the Pull Up Podcast. So I'm just saying.
And I tell you, that's like Mud and Jeff. You know what I'm saying? It's like Kool-Aid with no sugar. You know what I'm saying? Greens with no color. You got to make sure we got your back. I got your back. Like Martin
Yes,
said, I
guys.
got your back. What's up, Kev Springer in the house? What's
Mr.
going
Springer
on
is
tonight, Kev Springer?
Mr. Springer is in the building as always, and of course, welcome to another edition of Interludes Extra presents Talk on Tuesdays. Hey, it's time to get talking. Let's go. It's Interludes Extra presents Talk on Tuesdays. It's me, the host, one of the Val the Voice, and of course, Coach Tony. And of course, we want to let you guys know about our affiliate sponsor, Key Spot. Of course, connect, share, and grow. If you have a small business and you are trying to grow your business across the country, please connect with Key Spot. I'll ask Mr. Spring to go ahead and place the link in the chat. And of course, a DJ saved my life. It is the ebook that's available. And of course, it's coming. The printed version is coming, Coach. I'm so excited. I'm going to
How's
love
the
to
book
see this
sales going
print.
so far? How's that? You know, 'cause I keep telling you, we need to do a rodeo show, Val. We need to take the Pull Up podcast and Interlude Talk on Tuesday. We need to go on a small little 4 or 5 town. We could probably do like Nap, Chicago, Milwaukee, because that's all one straight line, you know. Or maybe we can throw the D in there. We can do something like that
Good.
and knock out that whole Midwest.
That would be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. For yeah, definitely the ebook is out now, and we thank you guys. The sales have been doing wonderful, and of course, we want to thank everyone that has purchased a book. But right now, we working on merch, we working on shirts, we working on coffee mugs, we working on all that stuff. So I'm real excited
Toe
about it
ring,
all. And of
get
course,
y'all some toe rings and everything. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know about a toe ring. I don't know anything about that. Then of course, Interludes Extra presents Find Your Voice. I am so grateful. I have a couple of what do you call this? Clients that are learning how to do podcasting. So of course,
Okay.
join our community on Patreon today at patreon.com/interludes. Coach. Oh my
Man,
goodness. I wanted to ask him before I said anything, and I said, you know what? Let me make sure that I ask Coach before I jump right into it. So last week we covered this show. We covered Power Book 2. The series finale happened last week. So um, was it all that you wanted it to be?
man, everybody, first of all, Val had asked me had I watched the show. I told we go back like Afro Sheen. You know what I'm saying? We out here with our man. Listen, I told you guys 100 times. This is one of the most outstanding shows, and from a guy who went out of the hip hop industry to a movie mogul writer. And Val, the last episode was, as we can say, it was epic. You know what I'm saying? Very much. I like how he refused, first of all, Val, outside of Mary, I like how he refused to kill anybody else. I thought that was because they could have knocked the cop off. They could have knocked Michael Ilya. They could have took him out. but I just liked how he said, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set this up. And he brought a little old school flavor. He brought the two detectives back that lost their job in the ghost murder when they got all their cars taken away from them. And he cleared the slate. And it's great. He put the kids back in power. And I think the next show is going to strictly be about the kids.
Yeah, I think with this series ending, there was a very interesting, I want to call it the last scene with the Tariq character, that's Michael Rainey Jr., on the phone, and we instantly knew that, you know, him and the character Tommy, portrayed brilliantly by Joseph Sciorra, who is out of Chicago. I was like, yeah, he's on the phone with Tommy. So we know how this is gonna wrap up. How many people saw the series finale? We don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen it, or we could say the spoilers. I don't know. There's a couple of people that end up not here no more.
Right, but I'm just gonna say, welcome to the Shy, baby. And for those that don't know, I was talking to Val as well, and I got a shout out to my boy Lil Durk. I love Lil Durk's music, and to get out of that drill music and get out of Hollywood and jump into the movie business, this is to me, it's a blessing in disguise, because I'm sure on the next interview, that young man didn't even believe he was going to be able to get out of jail when he was at one point. Then once he got out, to have a lustrous rap career, and then that career blooms him out and leaves him out of danger out of Chicago and takes him back takes him out to LA, and now he comes back. The only thing that gets with that, Val, sometimes, you know, you leave the city and then you come back, and depending on how you left it ain't the same when you get back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think ultimately it's all about, I like that if you can diversify your brand or
Right.
what you do, get out there, get some acting under your belt. Let's see if we, the audience, will like you as an actor. I thought Little Dirk did a great job. I saw him show up and I was like, oh, okay.
And 50 didn't throw anything difficult at him. He put him in his natural spot, carrying a gun in his hand. He's used to that, you know, thugging. He's used to that, right? And then just being just a street cat. He's used to that. So 50 put him in his element, and I'm sure he said, man, dude, just be natural. And then they only gave him a couple of lines here, a couple of lines there, and that was perfect.
Yeah, so I thought he did a good job, and like I said, I like that he was kind of the friend to, or the cousin to Kane. Now, did you see Kevin said that he saw it too? But I'm just wondering what
was your thought process on that? Well, what did you think?
Yeah, there was a part of me that was half hoping just it was going to be not a flashback, but him or Tariq seeing his father, because, you know, I have this thing with Omari Hardwick. But when they said Ghost in the Machine, I thought possibly, maybe, but then with that title, I figured no, what ends up happening toward the end is that Tariq has fully put on his persona of being Ghost. And so I was like, okay, I get the Ghost in the Machine reference. Right. I got it.
And that was a hit record, right? The Ghost in the Machine. Mm-hmm. So he has a hit record. Go back, my man's thing. So, you know, if you're looking at what Noma's uncle said, that kind of opened to one thing. He's like, you know, why do I want to trust you, a little college kid, man? And he broke it down between the law, the school, the paper, the people, the lawyer, everything he had. Like, damn, you got everything in play already. Yeah, all we need is just a product. And he said, matter of fact, after we do this, you don't have to see me no more. You just consider me as I'm vanished. He said, oh man, like a ghost. He said, yeah, like a ghost. So I think that when he gets back and he gets an opportunity to reconnect with Tommy and put him in a whole new city, and now they got a new distro, because I told you while you and I were discussing this all the long, Val, the Russians played a key role. And I knew that because the Russians played a key role in Chicago with Tommy. And so, and the Russians and the Irish, and he had the same thing. So I think that Chicago gonna be lit.
Yeah, just thinking about I I feel like they could have at least got two more seasons out of this series. I'm a little sad to see it go. I was very curious
Yeah.
about the Michael Ealy character and his wife. Like, what was this obsession? Why was all of her clothes still in the closet? Is she, what happened to her? Is she in Witsec, or what, what that
No,
was?
no, no. So she was murdered.
What kind
Yeah.
of led the Michael Ealy character into this, you know, dark side, then going to the church and praying? Like, I that would have been, that's a missed opportunity. I would have loved to have seen the relationship between Kane and Effie develop. That would have been cool to see that, and also to see if Lauren had come back from the first and second season. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
these are the storylines I feel like they missed out on.
Well, I don't know, Val. I don't think he did. I think 52 smart. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see next spring when again, I'm thinking he's going to come out with another show strictly with the kids. And I think they're going to
Mhm.
develop this new line that they got up at the school. And then he's going to develop a new line, new connecto with Tommy. And then I think Effie is going to go ahead, because now Kane is on a run. I think Effie's going to go ahead and go out to California, to Stanford, and but now she'll make that money she came back like that, and then I think he's going to follow her. And now you're going to have a series with the kids stretching from New York to Chicago all the way out to Cali. And I
Yeah.
think that Michael Ealy, obviously, his wife was killed in the first series with Ghost, and I think he just could not let go of her because he was in love with her so much. He couldn't let her go, and he had all the clothes, and he kept on going to confession because he was, like you say, he was starting to be a dirty cop at that point, and I just think he felt that he wasn't home that night that he could protect her. That was all.
Yeah, yeah, and I would have loved to have seen that character fully developed with Michael Ealy, and I'm glad that they didn't kill him off. And that's Dirk, right? That's little Dirk, right?
Yeah, that's the dirt right there. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. He really did a good job, kind of standing up for Kane. So I was just, now this was something that Kevin just mentioned in the chat. He says, "I'm wondering about the Tate situation. I was wondering about how they were going to do that too. Like, at first there was a series that was just going to be around the Councilman Tate's character called Power Book 4 Influence." But what ended up happening is that ended up now becoming Force, and I think they dropped Influence. Number one,
Correct.
probably because of the pandemic, or number two, I don't know. I'm
I
wondering.
don't
I'm
think they could
always
get
I'm
enough
wondering.
characters built around him, Val. I think there was so much stuff going on. There was so many
Mhm,
things and so many parts moving. And Tariq was
mhm.
already on that upward trajectory. And I don't think that if you'd have gave Lorenz Tate his own segment, there wasn't enough characters to build that. And like you said, with the pandemic, he was trying to get Raising Canaan off the ground. So I just
Yeah,
don't think. I thought he wrote Lorenz Tate in a great act. He was here today, going tomorrow. He's been that way since he's been in the whole show. I don't think he needed any more.
oh my gosh. Well, that's our thing. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I thank you for just kind of being in my face to say, "Hey Val, go ahead and check it out." I checked it out. I liked it. Now I have to get caught up with the next thing. But let's musically transition here. I was I got a chance to see a little bit of this. Did you get a chance to see any of the awards, the American Music Awards, the 50th anniversary of the American Music Awards? You guys remember Michael Jackson, Prince, all of these wonderful acts, Gladys Knight, and when she was with the Pips, them performing on the Dick Clark American Music Awards. Like, this was a big deal during my childhood. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
American Bandstand and the American Music Awards, they were like peanut butter and jelly to me. What do you think?
And you didn't move. You came home that night to watch it, and to watch Chi-Town, Chicago's own Jennifer Hudson rip it. and just dedication to Whitney Houston. I thought that was amazing. And she sang the perfect song. And then of course my baby, oh my God, my darling, my honey, Mariah Carey. And boom, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's how hey, man, that's how we be thinking right there. But man. Girl,
I think Mariah did a great job. I heard her performance, and I actually played it for the morning show that I had do in the mornings. And people were like, was that really her singing? I'm like, she sang a little bit different and varied it a little bit with this, because she sung We Belong Together a bunch of times. But Mariah has become the queen of Christmas. So, she's currently on tour for All I Want for Christmas, which the song is now officially 30 years young, but she has built an entire show around that one song. So go Mariah.
Oh yeah, and it was great because the movie that came out, I think on LMM or Lifetime or something a few years ago that she played in when she launched that. I think it was just absolutely phenomenal. But this girl right here, that girl right there, that girl, man. Let me tell you something. She had Chicago on her back the other night. She wore it well.
It looks like her dress is mimicking the dress that Whitney Houston wore years ago. This is Chaka Khan and Sheila E. Look at Sheila E. I don't see nothing but legs. Let's go, Sheila.
Cause she had the right song. That's that glamorous life. We won't love. Hey, that was it.
And then did you know this, that Gladys Knight was one of the first performers on the American Music Awards?
I didn't know that. I was like, wow.
I didn't know that either. Like, this is everybody came out, and I think our boy Cedric the Entertainer did the hosting of this 50th anniversary. Now, usually American Music Awards, the last time they gave out awards was 2022, and this streamed on ABC.
Right.
It was on CBS this time. Does anybody know why it switched networks?
You know something, Val? I didn't even pay that any attention. I guess it's time for CBS to get a little paper.
Yeah, so the American Music Awards are going to be streaming. They usually would stream in the beginning of the year or toward the end of the year. But now, thank you so much, Mr. Springer. He says the American Music Awards moved to May 2025, and Dick Clark, his production company, is still over it. But they did this anniversary because the American Music Awards, the award show started in 1974.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow. But no, do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight. You
get down tonight.
People
can't see the dress see what Jennifer's wearing there, and then you see what Whitney Houston is wearing there. I feel like that was a nice homage.
Oh, it was. I mean, and she blew the song out the water.
Oh my gosh. And there's very few people that could do And I'll Always Love You, the Whitney Houston version. Very few people can do that, but she did a great job. It was good to see Smokey there. Taylor Swift was there. Jennifer Lopez. There was a lot of folks that showed up at this award show. What was a fun performance that you saw? I love the Mariah performance. What was your favorite performance?
And Mariah was, like I said, that just, because of me, the DJ and me, and I like Mariah. I just like the fact that she still has it. I like the fact that she's still performing, and I like the fact that she's still selling out crowds. And then to get Jennifer's just been an icon in her own rights. But then, like you said, she stopped and blew that note, held that note, and all that. That was just phenomenal. And then Smokey. I mean, Smokey still look like it's 1974. You know what I'm saying? Like, man. And then, and my frat brother right there said, entertainer, yo for yo baby yo, the brother that cap out the side right there, Sid gonna always be Sid and be funny. And Sid was raw that night, man. They couldn't have had a better person, especially doing all this stuff with Cat Williams drama and Dave Chappelle, them going on. It was perfect to get somebody like Sid who just kind of mellow. Dion Cole would have been good too, but I like they pulled Sid in there.
Yeah, yeah, because he was very entertaining and funny. And then of course they had a lot of flashbacks that showed throughout the night. You saw the Jacksons, you saw uh, a lot of other folks that performed, and this was throughout the 50-year history of the American Music Awards. It's iconic, ladies and gentlemen. It's iconic. And so, like I said, I'm very proud. Jennifer represented Chicago very well. Thank you, darling.
Now, let me ask you a question. So behind that, because we know this, the dedication was to Whitney. What is your all-time favorite Whitney song?
Well, before we get to Whitney, I think this performance of everything happened literally on Sunday. The following morning, we lost Cissy Houston, and she was 91.
That was so ironic.
It's so ironic. It's so ironic. You had Jennifer Hudson have this blowout performance, great dedication to Whitney Houston, and then Mom. And so with Cissy Houston,
I wondered if she was sitting there watching it. I wondered if she was in a hospital or at a home. And I wondered if someone
she was in hospice. She was in hospice.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if someone had that performance on TV for her.
They might have. They might have had that. They might have had that for her. I said this and I wrote this on my page that it's a mother-daughter thing in my mind. You have Cissy Houston, who became a well-established singer and Grammy Award-winning singer and performer in her own right. And she was known decades before we got to know Whitney Houston in 1983. I think that's when Whitney Houston, finally came to the masses. She had been singing in church and kind of supporting her mom in that regard. But just think about it. You've got your daughter who becomes this icon, this iconic singer, and then you have her granddaughter. And I saw this picture was going around all over the internet, and I think I kept seeing the same writing that mother, daughter, and granddaughter, they're all together again. And I'm thinking how heartbreaking it is that your child and grandchild passed before you did. She lived to be 91 years young.
Yeah. And then you got to look at her relatives, and I think it's her sister. It's a Dionne Warwick, his aunt. So I mean, that's just amazing. Just the family. But what you just said is like, man, you don't never put your kids in the ground before you do, and then all of a sudden, boom, she lives that long life, and it was phenomenal. I went back and listened to some of the music she was part of, Val, and I didn't know some of the songs. That I was like, wow, I know that song, and I never knew she was a part of that as a singer.
Yeah, a little research. She sang with the likes of, and she was born Emily Dinkard. Dinkard. And she was born in Newark, New Jersey. I always have to try to figure out how to say her name where it's not I have to make sure I say that pretty closely. But of course, with Cissy, she you have Dionne Warwick that expressed her sadness recently regarding her this is somebody that she was close to. And of course, and I don't know. This was Dionne Warwick on Twitter. She says, "I'm so deeply saddened. However, knowing that my aunt Cissy died peacefully and that she's in a much better place and is a consolation and comfort to me. I have seen your messages of condolences on behalf of my family. Thank you." That was Dionne Warwick.
You're looking at Dionne, another relative. That's what I was saying. You got that whole family is just born into stardom, period.
Right. And Cissy and Dionne were part of, they started a family gospel group called the Dinkard Sisters. I didn't know that. And this was managed by Warwick's mother, Lee, who was Cissy's sister. So, yeah, that was her aunt. That's cracking me up a little bit. Like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
so
yeah, I
Cissy
knew
was
that.
your aunt.
Yeah, I knew
Mm-hmm.
that, and that's amazing, and again, when you're looking at that, it's just, that whole everything, and she lived it, and she sang. And I mean, when I found out she sang with the likes of Elvis, sang with the
That's
likes
right.
of a lot of these things, I'm like, whoa, what, Chuck Berry? I mean, the list go on and on. I'm like, she even did, I think, a part with a Raisin Brand song, which ended up being famous. I didn't know that till I watched the NWA movie. At one point, the Raisin Brand song was #1 in the world.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like and here's the thing with one of the things, she was on the vocals for Think from Aretha Franklin. She was the
You
vocal
got
on the
to
vocals.
think something
Van
more.
Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl.
Yes.
This is music before our time. I think you was
Yep.
a kid and I wasn't here yet. I don't know.
Yep. Hey, watch yourself, Val. Watch yourself now. Hold on.
And then she also did background for the Jimi Hendrix Experience,
Jimi
the
Hendrix,
burn
yeah.
of the midnight lamp in
Yeah.
1967. Like, she had established herself long before we even knew who Whitney was. Long before. So
Absolutely phenomenal. And so, and you can't, and the piece out of all that you just said that actually hurts the most is that we
mhm.
never knew whether or not Bobby would follow suit.
What do you mean follow suit? You mean like passing away?
Passed away too early.
Yeah, I feel like he's been fighting to
No,
stay.
I ain't talking about Bobby the husband. I'm talking about the daughter, Bobby.
The daughter, you thought you were referring
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
daughter.
I ain't
Okay.
talking about Bobby Brown. That's his prerogative. I'm talking about the daughter. We never knew
Mhm.
if she would have had that longevity, like Blue Ivy. We know that Beyonce's groomed her to sing and dance and all that. We see it. Jaden Wills, their daughter, they're grooming her to do that. We see it, but we just didn't get a chance to see Bobby Christina.
Yeah, and I don't know if she's a singer. That's the one thing. I didn't know if she was a singer or not, but I don't know. But the singing gene was in the singing performing, that was in the genes of the Houston family. And
Yeah,
I had to make sure that I grabbed this picture of Whitney Houston, Cissy Houston, and Dionne Warwick. I just want to go ahead and show that, because like that is, you got like
man.
three or four decades of great vocals and music, represented right there in that shot. But yeah.
That's star. That's what you call star power.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Very
And,
much so. But
and some of you guys that are DJing and these young guys that are talking about music, you better go check it out, because some samples came out of that right there. Samples.
there's a lot of samples that came from Dionne Warwick. Don't Make
Yeah.
Me Over. She originally recorded that.
Hey, I'm telling
Mhm.
you, sample. I mean, I got to keep schooling these young guys sometime, Val, because they be on them CDJs and that digital. Get that vinyl, you'll see them samples.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? I need you all to think about some of your favorite music from Whitney Houston, because we're going to now just kind of pivot to Whitney, because hearing about and learning about Cissy Houston's passing, obviously it just made me think like there was some favorite songs that I loved from Whitney Houston, and I don't know, I was just a huge fan. And so, but anyway, while we're thinking about that and getting our music and stuff together, we'll go ahead and we'll take a brief break, and we will be right back.
Hey, it's your main man, right back at you, coming live here from the Rise Studios. And it's your guy talking about what? Pull Up Podcast Show. What is the Pull Up Podcast Show? It's a brand new podcast hitting airways nationwide, talking everything on sports, from baseball, basketball, hockey, and then I tell you, we're going to have a lot of fun. So make sure if you want your questions answered, you want to have fun talking a lot of sports, make sure you pull up on me because it's the Pull Up Podcast Show.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up.
Also, for those that want to learn a little bit more about this right here, oh yeah, that right there, that's the Rise, NIL, talking name, image, and likeness. Those having opportunities, getting paid, you want to tune in to it.
Sports show, let's go. It's the Pull Up Podcast. So, it's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. Let's go.
I'd be hype.
Man, I'd be hype. You know, I'm gonna jump in this with both feet. Being a house DJ, being a love of music, love Whitney Houston. The song that grabs me more than anybody, man, is "Love Will Save the Day." 1988. I can tell you the year and all that. I had that track, and they used to beat that hard in the city on everything. WGCI, Farley, Frank Knuckles, Ron Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
I keep going. But "Love Will Save the Day" was, man, my most, because she showed me on that track where she was a ballad singer and took it to the house music. And then the track was just ridiculous.
So do you remember the song, the singer Kashif?
I remember Kashif, yes.
Yes, so I think it was either her first album that first came out, but I was a huge fan of I've been thinking about you, baby. Oh, so tell me what you gonna do. Like that's one of those songs that was not a huge hit unless you were like a huge fan. I found myself gravitating toward the songs that were we like to call it in DJ styles, like the B-sides, the songs that were popular. And, right.
And when the 90s came, I was like, whatever you want from me, because I'm your baby tonight. That was my jam. And they came with a remix on that. If you guys Google "I'm Your Baby, Whatever You Want From Me," K-Edit, K-EDIT remix. He put a house remix to that. That was off the charts.
And another one of my favorite, and of course, Mr. Springer has done this for her. He says, put your favorite song from Whitney Houston in the chat. For myself, it has to be "I Get So Emotional, Baby." Oh, yeah. Every time I think of you. I'm being funny.
You the one down south. I got you. Hey. Now, we cannot forget the biggest one would "Take My Breath Away." Boom, boom. When she did the Kevin Costner song, she had a song on that Kevin Costner movie. What was that?
Now, this is a scene from the Kevin Costner movie. That is The Bodyguard.
The Bodyguard.
Scene from The Bodyguard.
Yes. Yeah, that song.
So again, "Take My Breath Away" is not from that particular movie. One of the songs.
I'm thinking about "Take My Breath Away." That was Tom Cruise. That's right.
Ooh, but if I run to you, ooh, right. Whatever. And then of course, her remake of "I'm Every Woman" by Chaka Khan.
And you play that "I'm Every Woman," and as Val just told you, there is a B-side to that track. And if you play the B-side dub to "I'm Every Woman," the drum beats, the roll, there's 8, 9, 8, 12, 16 bars to come into that track. Man.
Oh my goodness. And the other music that there's a song that she's got called "All the Man That I'll Ever Need." He fills me up. He gives me love, more love than I've ever seen. I always switched it out and thought about God. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. And the video, I love the video for that too. Like sometimes I look at it and get a little emotional, like, oh my goodness. And of course, "I Believe the Children Are Our Future."
Man.
She remade it. Now, who originally recorded that? You remember who originally recorded "The Greatest Love of All"? Who originally recorded it?
The greatest love of all. It's happening to
It was a
me.
dude.
Yeah,
It was a
I
dude.
know. Man, I cannot tell you right off the top of my head, man.
George Benson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
TV?
it. That's the person who originally recorded it. And of course, anytime Whitney would put her lips on a song, remade or whatever, just like Luther Vandross, he just made it her own. And you like, who recorded this before her? Anyway.
Right. Again, the samples. That's what I'm talking about. The samples. I mean,
Oh my goodness. And Mr. Springer, he's got a good one. Where do broken hearts go? He says
no.
tearjerker.
And I'm gonna tell you something right now. If y'all don't know, because Val, I get to do this each and every year, multiple times. The
Mhm.
Whitney Houston national anthem was
Okay.
ridiculous. Man,
Was who?
Man, she sang the national anthem. I
Oh yeah.
absolutely love that one. Me and Coach, we talk all the time. We put that national anthem on all the time on different games, and that was just nuts.
Yeah, I know. Just really. Now, this is her picture with Clive Davis. This
Yeah.
was her mentor. Arista Records when she first signed on. Like this was a huge deal. A lot of if you talk to any other gossip YouTuber or people that are out here with the entertainment situation, there's a whole lot of weird chatter going on about Clive. But let's stay on the positive side of things. I'm grateful that Cissy, I guess, made this connection. But has anyone seen any of the movies that's been made about Whitney Houston? What is this? I think is I Want to Dance with Somebody. I think that's
I
currently
want to
streaming
with
on.
somebody.
Yeah, that
I
song
want
got
to
played over.
with somebody.
That song
Yeah,
got played over and over and over again. I was like, oh my
with
gosh.
somebody to love. Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
I
And
learned how
I
to
think
harmonize
on
with
that
that
same
song.
track, Exhale and Shoot Shoot was on there. 95 was on that
Ooh,
same thing. Yeah,
yes.
man,
Everyone falls
exactly.
in
Man,
sometimes. Yes,
shoot,
yes.
man,
Guess
I'm
who wrote
telling you,
that? Guess who wrote that for the soundtrack?
who did?
Babyface.
Oh, get out.
Shoot, shoot,
That sounds like a
shoot,
babyface type track. Yeah,
yeah, nice and ease. And you know what? A lot of people, I thought that she was a decent actor. I loved her in The
yeah,
Preacher's Wife. I
yep,
loved her in The Bodyguard. I loved
yep,
her in Waiting to Exhale. When she was with The Preacher's Wife, she played opposite of Angela Bassett's husband.
yep.
Why can't I think of his name? His name came in my head and then jumped right out just that quickly. But of course, she sang this song with the Mississippi Mass Choir. I love the Lord. He
Mhm.
heard my cry. And then the way she was able to hit those notes, it was just Courtney B. Vance. Thank you, Kevin.
There you go, Ken. There you go. I like that.
Kevin
And
is on it.
and Val, you can't get it. You was a true Whitney fan right before that, and right before Shoot Shoot. After I
Mhm.
have nothing, and I have nothing at all. Man, that if I
Oh
don't have
yeah.
you, I have nothing. And that was during the time, obviously, you already know from the movie, where her and Bobby was going through that crazy stuff.
Yeah. Now, her and Bobby recorded a song or two together. We Have Something in Common. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I
That one?
remember we have something, and it ended up being a theme song to the movie.
So I didn't, and the weird thing is that I didn't really see her and Bobby together. Like I didn't understand their their matchup or whatever. But from like just some of the things that has been said, there was someone that was very close to Whitney and kind of in the background. That kind of comes out a lot in the fictitious, the movie that's kind of loosely based on her life, I Want to Dance with Somebody. But here's the thing. She was pregnant with Bobby Christina when she did the music video for I'll Always Love You. When you see her sitting, she's sitting because she's fully pregnant.
Oh,
And for
wow.
her to see her kind of push out, like every time I watch that movie, The Bodyguard, and it gets to that end scene where her and Kevin Costner are about to, they're saying goodbye to each other. Then she looks back and she says, "Wait!" She stops the plane, and then the music kind of all in. If I should stay, whatever, and then the music stops. She's like, "Okay, wait, stop the plane," and then she runs off and the camera angle, because I'm a filmmaker, it goes around her and Kevin, and I'm just like,
But you know what's funny, Val? Like the way you described that, and what's crazy is that the way we grew up without the technology, right?
Mhm,
I
mhm,
mean, you just talked about that last night, a little bit in last week, and me and Mark talked about it last night, just speaking
mhm.
sports. When you ran home because you were going to get that one basketball game that night on CBS or NBC. And if you didn't get it, it wasn't going to rerun later on that night on ESPN because it didn't exist.
Exactly.
Same thing with Whitney. You really don't realize how some of these superstars, how much you actually were into them, if that's a good way for me to say it. In other words, as a male figure, you really didn't think, man, really Whitney Houston, I really wasn't into Whitney until she's no longer there. And then somebody started talking about her accolades, her music, and the things she did, and you start spitting it back. You're like, wow, I knew more of this than I thought. Unlike because of technology, you would think that the people now will have greater access to these stars, but they don't, because music is put out in a completely different manner and music is put out
Mhm.
in a completely different way. But we talked about that back in the day. I went and bought Whitney Houston. I'm going to find an album here when we go to our last break of the day. But we would have to buy a track, or you want a track, you had to buy the album. The cool part about it is,
Exactly.
if they had 3 or 4 hits on the album, you had the album. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. And like I said, it's interesting, but then again, I'm always wondering, like for the folks that love Whitney Houston, I see some folks are joining us over on Instagram, but definitely Whitney just was really a powerful performer and singer. And kind of the underlining issue that kind of just haunted her throughout her career was the drugs. And that interview
Mhm.
that she did with, I want to say, Diane Sawyer, and she's
Yep.
like, "Oh, crack is whack," and whatever. And then the very last movie that she did, I think, was the remake of Sparkle. Her
Yep.
voice is like octaves down. That it's not
Right.
it's not able to hit some of those same things. And then, of course, some people have seen, they went to see her perform, and they said it wasn't the same, and that
Well,
kind
again, the
of
drugs
breaks
had
my
taken
heart.
over by that time.
Yeah, and that breaks my heart. But Jennifer Hudson on Sunday did such a wonderful job of performing. I feel like "And I'll Always Love You," which was originally written by Dolly Parton. I
And know
want to
the
make
funny
sure that we
part
call
about it,
that out.
if you
Hmm.
look up the #1 and #2 songs ever by Whitney Houston, was #2 was Star Spangled Banner, and #1 was
Hmm.
I Will Always Love You,
Yeah,
1992. Again,
yeah,
Whitney was a force to be reckoned with. And I think sometimes what happens is, and sometimes it's a little bit better. We already talked about the Diddy case and all that. I think sometimes that our kids or our stars become stars so young.
yeah.
And I tell guys all the time, like basketball, because that's my life.
Hmm.
Val is the suburban ball player with a good family, mom and dad, great life, the whole 9 yards. That ain't a story. But Tony came out of inner city Chicago, out of the hood with nobody, in and out of jail, fighting drugs, fighting gangs in the neighborhood, and went on to be a superstar. That's an ESPN story. And it's
Wow.
unfortunately that we get kind of caught in the ramifications of that sometimes, when, these people are human. And Whitney let it be known as she got older, the drugs had taken over. And based on story, because obviously a person that's no longer with us can't explain themselves. But, from Bobby Brown's perspective and a few others, that Whitney had Bobby doing the things that he was doing, not the other way around. So I've heard that
Yeah.
before as well.
Yeah, and I feel like that was kind of the misrepresentation of because we all thought it was Bobby Brown that was behind it, but we didn't know. And for me, I was always just cheering for her to just get better. Like I didn't realize, because here's the thing, the stress that's on you if you're the person that's the number one breadwinner, like
Right.
you're the person that your father has built his managing business on your back, and according to the movie, looks like he was kind of skimming off the top and doing some other shady things. You have your other relatives, some are really in your corner, some may not be. Like
Right.
that could be like that, and the stress of carrying that out, to relieve that stress, you do drugs or you do alcohol. And I was just hoping and praying that things would just kind of turn around, because that song, the I Love the Lord, the song she did for the Preacher's Wife soundtrack. I mean, anytime I would get into like a foul mood, or thinking, oh my gosh, I can't take it no more, whatever, I would play that and that would just reverse my whole mood. It was something about her voice that just made you feel hopeful, like I can I can see another day. And she had to have been taught that by her mom.
Yes.
Cissy Houston was the one that taught
And
her how to
Dion,
sing.
and her
And
auntie sitting around,
Dion.
and
Yeah, so
again,
I feel.
very powerful.
Hmm.
I thought when it happened, I remember, I don't know if you remember, some things you can remember. Like I know exactly where I was at on 9/11. I know exactly where I was at. I know what I was
Hmm.
doing. And my heart dropped because I thought my cousin was in one of the Twin Towers, and I didn't stop until I physically got her on the phone. And I remember what happened, where I was going when I heard Whitney Houston. I actually remember where I was at and what I was doing when I heard about Prince. And there's a
Yeah.
few people that move you like that, that move the needle. And the Whitney situation moved the needle because she passed too early and with controversy. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And but to be a mega superstar, and like I said, whether she was okay or good, excellent in the movies, it didn't matter, because the big screen just exemplified what she did on the stage. And it was just, and people was in awe of what she was able to do, and even to fight through that. I remember on that Bobby on the New Edition story. They were talking about one time Whitney came out on the concert and her nose was bleeding from doing cocaine just a few hours, and she didn't want to go backstage, and there was a turmoil. They had to delay the show. You have no idea, as you mentioned a moment ago, the pressure that's put on some of these people. And many people deal with pressure in different ways, but we all know what pressure does. What? Burst pipes.
Oh yeah. Very much so. Very much so. And like I said, the performance of Waiting to Exhale, that's Angela Bassett, that's Loretta Devine, that's Layla Rashawn, and then you have Whitney Houston. Um, I feel like a lot of, and that Forrest Whitaker directed this film, so you
That was
kind
like
of
the
had.
music version of Set It Off.
It was a no. It was an upscale version of Set It Off. It was the only person that really set it off was Angela Bassett's character when
It's
she
a bad
set
deal.
off when
Yeah.
she set everything on fire.
Did,
But
did you did you watch Girls Trip, and it kind of remind you of that, of that same movie when you saw
a
Girls Trip?
little
Did that
bit,
kind of, yeah.
a little bit. It's just the good Lord, the language coming out of what's that child's name?
Um,
Uh, Tiffany Haddish.
what's his
There
name?
was
Yeah,
this. There was sometimes she puts the letter a little bit too far, and I was like, and
And
but
she's like,
that's
hey, I'm
just
gonna give
me
it to you.
just being real sensitive. What was that?
No, Tiffany, like, I'm gonna give it to you.
I know. I didn't know anything about a grapefruit or anything like that. So I was just like, this is stuff I want to stay ignorant of. I want to stay ignorant of all the crazy, but beautiful pictures here of Whitney Houston and Cissy together. And so, like I said, a lot of people, I know they'll probably have like a big celebration and ceremony for her, but like I said, this picture was floating around the internet like big time, and just saying that now, Cissy can rest in peace and she's with her daughter and granddaughter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, thank you, Cissy, for all that you've contributed to the music industry, and thank you for bringing this beautiful soul of Whitney Houston to us and allowing her to share her gift with the world. Thank you, because she could have been like, "No, you're gonna stay in church." She could have easily done that.
Yeah, she could have, but eventually, you know how that goes. Whitney gonna break out. You break up out that church. You break out like this too. You break up out there running. But again, and I know we're gonna talk some second of sports, and I got another breaking news that just happened. But this I love because, again, being a DJ, and being music lover, if you didn't own Whitney Houston music albums, then you weren't a music lover. My personal opinion.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Now I got this picture from Coach before we got on the show, and I need you to explain what I'm looking at. What am I looking at over here? I'm gonna need you to break this down, Coach. What is happening?
I'm gonna break two things down, and while I'm doing this, I want you to go ahead and get the picture of Coach Pat Riley, Miami Heat, because they are about to do some special things for him. But what you're seeing right here is what I have been talking about. This is what I've been saying. And they did it last night, Val, during the game, doing our podcast. I wish I'd have known I had a TV going, been great. But LeBron James and his son, little Bronny, not only were on the floor together, they had back-to-back dunks right behind each other in the game for the first time. So the first time a daddy and son duo ever got a chance to play on an NBA floor together, and the first time in history that two back-to-back plays initiated in dunks. Ridiculous. So I know we talked about earlier, was little Bronny ready? Was he not ready? Whatever it is. One thing you cannot judge is what? The heart of an athlete. And that's something that you cannot judge. And as much talk as they're doing, as many things that they're doing, again, this goes back to what I said about maybe 6, 7, 8 episodes ago. I'm glad because we see the PWIs and everything else put their kids on, Eli Mannings and all these guys with their nephews and their sons. No, hey, let the brothers have some breathing room. And for LeBron to sell little Bronny, I'm just glad he's able to get on here and run up and down the court with no heart problems right now. And I like the way LeBron is orchestrating how he's going to be played, and JJ Redick, the new coach, is buying in. So hats go off. I'm still not a Laker fan, all shot at, but I like it.
So what was this, like a pregame or something? Like what game was that?
Right now, Val. Yeah, the season doesn't open until October 23rd. So this is all preseason. And a good thing about it is you're getting an opportunity to see little Bronny and his, whatever before the season. Now, now you see what he's able to do. And I love what JJ Redick is doing. He's trying to test the water. Opening night, first game in LA, I've got Bronny and LeBron on the floor together. You heard it from Coach T. If you got FanDuel for promotional purposes only, go in there and bet your car, put a couple of house notes on it. But opening night in LA, you will see LeBron and Bronny on the floor together opening night in Los Angeles.
Wow. Okay.
Now,
all right.
Speaking of importance for those in LA, the most important man who I've always loved, Pat Riley. Coach Pat Riley, For those that don't know, he was way back Mr. Kentucky Man, right next to Jerry West and all that, doing everything. If you haven't seen the Making of the Lakers Dynasty, the little comedy show, please go Google that and watch that off of Hulu or whatever, because it's funny talking about how the Lakers Dynasty became what they were, and Pat Riley had a big part of it. And then he moved on years later to go coach one of Val and my, good friend out of Chicago, and D Wade, in Miami, and win a few rings. Now, Pat has been president of the Miami Heat for the last 16 seasons. And they, Val, about to give him the most honored prize of them all. This year, on October 23rd, when the season opened up, the Miami Heat will be playing on Pat Riley's court. They're dedicating the court to Pat Riley, and his initial, his name, and all that will be drawn and placed up. Because if those know Pat Riley, know he, Mr. Italian with the slick back, he just spray all the mousse on it. He had the slick back for years. And I thought he was one of the greatest coaches at the time to pull together some figures like Kobe and Shaq, into LA, responsible for Magic Johnson. And then he goes to Miami and does it all again and brings Shaquille O'Neal there, Alonzo Mourning, D Wade, and those guys. Bron left Cleveland to go get him a ring in Miami. So Pat Riley, hats off, my brother. Love it. Cannot wait for the dedication.
Well, congratulations to Pat Riley. I remember seeing a couple of the Dynasty,
Sure.
what was that? The series that came on. What was it? HBO?
I think it was either that. I'm not sure. I think it was HBO. Yes.
Right. So I remember seeing that, and to kind of see, I forgot the actor that portrayed him in the series, but I was thinking, oh, that's how he came to coaching. Like they didn't take him seriously, according to this series.
Not
but
much money.
Congratulations to Pat.
Yep. I said, like you said, he didn't make much money. He almost lost his family. He was just a basketball junkie, and he wanted it. And again, sometimes you can't fight your desires. If your desires is great, your heart wants it, you obtain it.
Oh my goodness. And so, ladies and gentlemen, coming up next week, this is on the Pull Up Podcast Show, because Coach, he does this. He does this. Who you got coming up on next week? We'd love to know.
Let me tell you, we have talked about the athlete. We've talked about NIL. We've talked to players, coaches. Next week, my good buddy, Mr. Big Ten, Northwestern University, I'm going to have my good friend, coach and sports performance coach, Bobby Jackson, and we're going to talk about the mindset of the athlete. And that's going to be a completely different, impact. I definitely want you guys to tune in, ask some questions, because we're going to go into the mind of the athletes, how they think, how they perform, how they feel, what's going on. And Coach Jackson is going to be able to answer those questions for you. So make sure you do exactly what Val said and pull up on me, baby. That's why it's called the Pull Up Podcast Show.
That's what I'm talking about. Come on, Coach, with the Pull Up Podcast Show. And of course, A DJ Saved My Life. It is the ebook. It is available now. All you have to do is scan the QR code, or make sure that you go to purelighthouse.net. And go ahead and check out that book if you want more information. And of course, it's the ABCs of podcasting and a little bit of my story of how podcasting, starting this particular podcast and being a virtual DJ, saved my life. Thank you so much for getting that in the chat for me, Mr. Springer. And of course, patreon.com/interludes if you'd like to learn a little bit about how to get started on doing your own podcast, or you want to come join our fun community over there. It's patreon.com/interludes. Thank you so very much for that. And of course, our affiliate sponsor, KeySpot. If you have a small business and you want to get the word out about it, go to keyspot.app.com. Oh my goodness, what a fun show tonight. Woo,
Man,
woo.
great. And Springer, I didn't get a chance to answer your question, but I will make sure I answer it next week. Springer had a sports question because the New York Jets just fired their coach, Rob Sella, over some tensions with Aaron Rodgers, and we're gonna talk about that.
Oh, well, y'all gonna need to talk about it, and you.
We're gonna talk about
Didn't Aaron just get there like last year?
and was hurt the whole year, girl, and then he just got back, and you gonna fire me? I gotta pay. I got a mortgage over here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Hey,
my goodness! And
Val,
Springer said,
if he'd have known my man's in them, he wouldn't have got fired. You know what I'm saying? He'd have known my man's in them.
join us again next week on Interludes Extra Presents Talk on Tuesdays. But we know what we say when we're on.
Hey.
Peace.